Pleasant good evening to everybody out there in viewing and listening land. Tough form coming back at you one more time again for the midweek catch up, the Wednesday gwaan. This is Andrew, and I'm coming back at you again. All right, got a couple things going on in the news cycle this week as we're winding down in the month of April. Give it honor to God for today is my Earth Strong, my birthday. Just want to thank God for giving me strength and life for one more day on top of the earth. All right, people, a pleasant good evening to everybody out there. You know, the cycle keeps continuing, and I got my ears to the street. So as I'm dredging through the papers, I'm just bringing you what's happening, keeping up to date. So on this Monday, past Monday going on, Monday morning, man, sorry, let me, that was the other week before that. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back into it. Okay, it happens. It happens. A lot of news to cover. All right. So on the Monday of this week, what do we got going on? All right. Let's see what's happening in the front page. April 25th, 2022. Over the weekend, a man was shot in a Brampton neighborhood. He was rushed to hospital where he was later listed in stable condition. The person who was arrested for this was a woman. And commonly on this platform, we're talking about men because it's always men seem to be perpetrating these offenses. But on this weekend, it was a woman that was arrested for the shooting of this man who was said to be intimate with her. Yes, so the two said they were to be intimate people. So this sounds like another domestic issue. We heard through the testimony of the neighbors and those who were in the neighborhood talking about the family that they had, I believe, children that were living in the home also. So a sad story here, but at least it looks like the man's gonna live, but violence still prevails in that area. In London, Ontario, also on Saturday, another hit and run. A lot of these happening over the last couple of weeks. Another hit and run victim died after being struck by a vehicle, and the investigation is still ongoing. Also in news, we found that sentencing day was set on Monday for the young man who killed a woman and her 3 children in an SUV in Brampton in 2020. Some of us may remember that if you keep your ears peeled to the news cycle, you know that's what happened on the 2020. Tragic loss for a beautiful family, a woman and her 3 beautiful kids. A man had to come home to that and realize that he no longer has a family that's going to be coming home because of a reckless choice that a young man made. Prosecutors are seeking for this sentence of 20 years in prison for the 21-year-old man. 21 years old. This was one of the worst cases of dangerous driving so far that we've seen in Canada. The young man did not have a valid driver's license, had a long record of driving offenses, and was involved in another dangerous driving incident 2 days before he slammed into the mother of 3 SUV. So this just shows you that this person just was not thinking and didn't care. Driving without a valid license, got into a traffic incident while driving just 2 days prior to that, and then eventually slammed into the SUV of this mother of 3. Sad story here, but the sentencing and the time that you're looking for is about 20 years. If you get that, that's going to be something to talk about, as we know about the others cases that have been going on. In the news also, a male student was stabbed outside of Birchmount Park Collegiate Institute on Monday afternoon after school ended. He was not seriously injured. However, 3 suspects are believed to be involved. Imagine just finishing school and this is the news that you're hearing after your child finishes school. Wow. So I'll let you know right now, it seems to be a lot of stabbing been happening, and in this news cycle, it continues. In other news, Chief of BC First Nation will look over police watchdogs for the report on the fatal shooting that happened out there. An indigenous civilian monitor has been appointed to look over a report by BC police watchdog following the RCMP shooting death of a 28-year-old man last year. The victim was alleged to have been holding a woman against her will. Now, I don't know what's going on with the negotiation skills of the officers, but the RCMP officer fired his gun and shot this 28-year-old man, and now his family is grieving. I'm sure there's got to be a better way, but this seems to be happening too regular. Let's take a jump over there into Texas. Over the weekend, an elderly woman survived the carjacking last week. The assailant was not so lucky, however. The 72-year-old woman was on her way to a gas station when a man grabbed her and hit her repeatedly in the face and took her car keys. Yes, 72-year-old woman. 3 men tried to take down the attacker, but he managed to get away with the car, only to be found by police officers dead in a car accident not long after. The victim, the 72-year-old woman, when she heard the news, she expressed her sadness for the man who lost his life. What a case of irony there. And also, some may want to call it karma, or the deserts of one who wanted ill for somebody else. But a sad case all around. Trying, putting this violence on us, this woman who was 72 years old, an elderly woman, someone who could have been his mother or grandmother, who knows. But now he's not here to tell the tale or say anything because he's now dead. Irony. Anyway, moving on. Tuesday, April 26th, we find out the BOLO program, which is the Be on the Lookout program for finding Canada's most wanted people, has been released. All but one out of the 25 people on this list are men. Yes, you heard me correct. 25 people were listed on this BOLO program, and out of the 25, one was a woman, which is also strange because you're not really seeing that often, but there was a woman involved. The highest reward issued was for $250,000 for the suspect, who was the #1 most wanted person for the 2021 shooting death of a 43-year-old man. These wanted individuals are at large, folks, in some community, in maybe your community, my community. Regardless, they're somewhere being held up by somebody or hiding someplace out of sight so they don't get caught. 25 cases that are unsolved right now because the suspects are allegedly out there somewhere, and a reward was set up for one in particular for 250,000. And I looked on this list, and there's a list of 100,000, 50,000, and so on. A lot of money putting out here, but I'll get back to that a little later on. A man was convicted of manslaughter for supplying the gun that killed another man in a taxi cab on September the 2nd of 2018. He was also convicted for first-degree murder for using the same gun to fatally shoot the victim's killer. Yes, you heard me correctly. So let's break this down. The man supplied the gun. That same gun was used to kill a taxi cab driver. And after that, the killer was murdered by that very same gun that he was given to kill by the person who gave him the gun. Oh my goodness. I can't make this stuff up. This is not TV, folks. This is what's happening in real life. Yes, you heard me correctly. it seems to be a cover-up because a woman who was in the taxi with the victim was also shot in the process of what took place here. And the 30-year-old man convicted of this crime is now sentenced to life in prison with no chance, zero chance of parole for 25 years. So this person who's now convicted and will serve life in prison supplied the gun for someone to kill a taxi cab driver because they were suspecting that somebody was cheating or whatever it was. The person who gave this other person the gun now realizes, okay, let me clear myself out of this and don't be implicated. I'm going to kill you. So they set up a meeting for him to get the gun back or for something, and ends up shooting the killer of the taxi driver with the same gun. More ironies here, yes. Okay, what else is happening in the news? Well, here we go. Two more teen boys were charged with second-degree murder in the death of 27-year-old man in Saskatoon. The teens are ages 13 and 15 years old. Earlier this week, three other boys were jointly charged with second-degree murder, ages 13, 14, and 16. The man was shot Sunday where an armed robbery was taking place. So if I can get this story correct, we got 13-year-olds, two of them, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. Armed robbery, folks. Second-degree murder, folks. What were you doing when you were 13, 14, 15, and 16? Terrible news cycle there. But it's happening. As we move on, excuse me, a 15-year-old boy was arrested after two students were stabbed. Yes, more stabbing. By a knife on the grounds of a Mississauga high school. This happened in broad daylight. Around 12:30 p.m., police were called on Tuesday as the news unfolded, where a 15-year-old boy was arrested. Saw the video. This boy does not even go to the school, but came onto the site and came up to a group of people with some other boys, and a fight ensued and a knife was drawn. And the still picture we saw of a man, one of the boys, having a cut along his neck. So serious implications there, but the boy was arrested. Two teen boys have been arrested following another stabbing inside the Scarborough Town Center. 16-year-old boy is facing 6 charges. A 14-year-old boy has been arrested and charged with aggravated assault, assault with weapons, and weapons dangerous. Both cannot be identified under the provisions of the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Wow. Yeah, and you know, this is a place that I used to frequent a lot around these ages, 15, 16, 17, looking for girls, man, just whatever. But passing the time trying to see different areas and wasn't thinking of going to have a fight. So that happened also on Tuesday. And here we are, Wednesday, April the 27th, 2022. One of Toronto's most wanted fugitives was arrested today. Now, you heard me talking earlier on about that BOLO list or that BOLO program. Be on the lookout. And this was on that list of 25. This was number 1. So just hours after issuing that $250,000 reward, yesterday he was the number 1 wanted suspect. Today he's in police custody. This may bring some relief, but not full closure to the family, of course, of the man, the brother, the father who was shot. So some closure there, at least, that this individual is off the street. $250,000. Yeah, that would make some people light of lip, loose tongues, or whatever you want to call it. But I guess there was some motivation there because there was an anonymous tip that got this individual arrested. Okay. Excuse me. All right, we're almost wrapping up. A judge rules. Now, normally I don't really call out people's names or anything, but this has been going on for about 5 years now, and no resolution yet. A judge rules Barry and Honey Sherman murder case too sensitive to release more case documents. This case is still in the investigative process after the billionaire couple was murdered in their home on December 13, 2017. Police originally pursued a murder-suicide theory, but then announced 6 weeks later that it was a double homicide. Yes, it's sad to know that this murderers, we don't know, is still at large 5 years later, and this is still in the investigative portion of this case. Need some closure here, but somebody entered these two people's home, the billionaire's home, and took their lives. Something obviously went wrong here, but would love to see some closure to that for the family, and just the fact that we can have some solace about being safe in our own homes. And finally, in Quebec, we notice and see that a 26-year-old man accused of murdering two people with a sword in Quebec City on Halloween night. Yes, you heard me correctly. A 26-year-old man was accused of murdering two people with a sword. A sword. I don't know where you got a sword from, but you don't really, I don't know if it's that common to see someone walking with a sword around and said they're going to kill somebody. Yeah, this happened in 2020 on a Halloween night of all. So, yeah, they testified today that after the second killing, he began to have doubts. Yeah, let me scratch my head here for a second. Let me scratch my head here for a second. This individual said that after the second killing, he began to have doubts about what he called his mission. I don't know what mission he was on, but he brought a sword with him. And after the first one, yeah, you were good. Second one, you started to have some second thoughts, but you continued anyway. All right. All right. Yeah, this man is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and also charged with 5 counts of first-degree of attempted murder. So you got 2 counts of first-degree murder and then 5 counts of attempted murder. So this guy, what was he thinking after the third? Oh, okay. So he admits to killing a 56-year-old man, a 61-year-old woman on that very night, Halloween 2020. But his lawyer will argue that he was not criminally responsible at the time of the events because he was suffering from a mental disorder. Yeah, another scratch my head moment here. Not that I have much here on my head, but my God. So what do we have here? We have a man who says he was on a mission, came out with a sword, 2020 of Halloween, and proceeded to kill somebody, went on to his second victim, and then after that, he says, I started having second thoughts. Is this mission going right? Is it going good? Is this the mission? But you continue because you have 5 other accounts. Folks, the lawyer is going to argue criminally not responsible. So, when was he deemed responsible? Was it after the first one, since he didn't account for that one? What are we talking about here? I think we have to put something else in the narrative now besides mental disorder. Could there be a demonic possession, especially you coming out of Halloween night? Now, I'm a believer. I'm a God-fearing man, and I see what's happening with Halloween. And there are folks who send out their children and dress up, even as adults, as superheroes and all these other fantasy filled characters. But then there's something about Halloween that we know is demonic. When you're glorifying witches, goblins, ghouls, and Dracula, and all these gory things and these morbid things that I don't know. That there has to be something said about. I'm not blaming this on the Halloween night itself, but that's the night this person decided to come out and say he's gonna bring a sword, and it wasn't even for costume effects. This was a real sword. This was real lives that he took 2 and 5 attempted to take. It could have been worse. But anywho, he admits to killing these 2 people. And I hope this man goes away for a long time. Sorry, because being deemed criminally not responsible, that just puts you in basically something similar to a halfway house where you can walk out. It's not like a prison. Yeah, folks, this is what's going on this week in the midweek catch up in the Wednesday gwaan. Just keeping my ears to the streets. Folks, I'm encouraging everybody out there to remain vigilant, remain sober and aware of your surroundings. Don't be paranoid, but be aware, be cautious. Be weary of those who are walking near you that you do not know. You got to be ready because we can fall victim. We're susceptible at any time to random attacks by those who deem themselves mentally not responsible. We are, folks, we're in trouble, man. The world's in trouble if this is what we're going to be deeming everything as. But yeah, be safe out there, everybody. This is Andrew signing off one more time for Tough Form on the midweek catch up, the Wednesday gwaan. Until we talk next week again, be safe, peace, and one love, everybody. All right, I'm out.